Cantonese has 7 tones, technically 8, but technically we only use like 6, if that makes sense. Because there's this tone called high falling, but you can only recognize it and you use it on something. Some natives don't use it. But the tones, language is very difficult. The grammar's not too bad. The thing with Cantonese is the reason why it's harder than Mandarin is because there's more tones. And what you read in Cantonese is different from what you speak, if that makes sense. It's more formal, but when you read, they're different tones too. So like it's kind of like learning a new language. So when you read, it's like, for example, g in olga. In Cantonese, that's spoken, but if you're reading, you say oldik, which means mine. Olga, oldik. And just the tones and like, it's just really different when you read. So that was pretty difficult too, is the fact that when you read it, it's going to be different from when you speak. So you have to learn the characters for speaking and for reading. You have to understand the difference. And imagine, well, they're both the same, and there's less tones. Pronunciation is a big deal. You want to sound like just like in English, you want to sound like a native, and so like that took some time to pick up. But I loved it, trying to sound like a native. The tones, naturally the tones, you eventually learn them because you just review so much, and you start to pick up really quick words you don't know, words you don't understand. Just like, for example, I'm sure a lot of people, know if the last person you've talked to, but I mean, for example, Lord, I mean, there's so many different tones. Like Lord is Ju, or you got Ju, which is pig, Ju is Lord, or Ju, which is live. Same thing, but they're different tones, like it contains everything. And I have a story in regards to the language. I didn't know my first area. And I was just like humming, kind of singing this song. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. And I was swearing. I had no idea. But in English, it's completely fine. And my native companion was like, stop that. And I was like, what? It's like, what am I doing wrong? And he's like, just stop. And he wouldn't tell me why at first. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And like, so I was like, whatever. It's like, naturally, I just started doing it. I was like, dun, 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 dun. And he's like, stop that. And I was like, what? I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I was swearing. I kept swearing in Chinese. And it's just because the tone, it goes up like this. And I won't say it, but it's just, it begins with D and just goes up like this. And I was swearing like every time because it was the same word. So I just kept saying the F word. And so I was just like, I had no idea. It's kind of bad, but I was swearing. And it's like, that's just how it is. You never know. And like some people call Ju, like they'll say Ju Gao, like, which is, you're trying to say, which is bishop, Ju Gao. But they say like pig, bishop, or like pig, like just like, it's just ridiculous. And like some people like bearing testimony, so you gotta really know your tone, so you could be saying something completely wrong. And like you got fishing, you gotta be really careful when you're saying the word like fishing, and because that could be ending up saying something bad as well. Just random words, you just gotta really be careful with what you say. Also, my name in Chinese is embarrassing because I don't know why this missionary gave me my name, but it's called Oh Hoi Wai. Oh Hoi Wai. That's it's kind of just like not great of a name, and I don't know. I think the native was just making a joke when he came up with it, so I changed my name. I never wanted to learn how to write it because I was so like ashamed of it, and all the natives would laugh at me. They're like, oh, hoi wai, and they're just like laugh at me. I'm just like, yeah, it's like, no, and like just, so that kind of sucked because I had a bad name, and everyone made fun of me. So I finally just started telling them I don't have a name, or I was like, or I just tell them I'm hi, I'm saying mother dog. I'm like, what's your full name? I'm just like, I'm not telling you. It's like, and then finally I'd give him show him I didn't want to say my name, so I just handed him my ID card for Hong Kong, and they would start laughing, and I'm just like, Just like that was kind of a bit, because it just kind of means like my name meant like flowing bladder, and just like it was bad, like all see, and like just, people just made fun of me all the time. So I was like, this sucks. So I changed it because Bruce Lee is from Hong Kong, or he's not from Hong Kong. He's born in America, which a lot of Chinese people don't like. They don't know that, and they do not like the fact that he's born in America. They're just like, no, he's born in Hong Kong. No, he was born in America, but he did live in Hong Kong for several years, and his name is Lei Xiulong, which means little dragon. So I was always a huge fan of Bruce Lee growing up, and there's a big statue of him in Hong Kong on Hong Kong Harbor, which is really cool. But his name means little dragon, so I changed my name to Oh Chok Long, which means like excellent dragon, kind of. And I was like, I just thought it was cool. It's like a member did it for me, and so like that's why I changed my name to. And because right now they're trying to make, they don't focus. They used to really focus on the actual meaning of your name. They try to focus on both, but now they focus on trying to actually sound like your English name. I don't know how all sounds like Dodd. I think they should have picked like Dai or something like that, which means like just a lot of missionaries are named Dai. And I don't know why they gave me all, but that's just like Chinese in general. Just it's a fun language for me. Like in Spanish, you can pick it up within a couple months. I didn't pick it up. Like I couldn't really like speak a lot till like I was like a year out. Well, it depends on where you serve in Hong Kong, but for me personally, it wasn't until like a year where I could pretty much understand, do what I want, everything, and wasn't just like that quick. It was probably the most stressful time. Like anytime, like every day during language study, I was like, just like sit there. I would carry my language books with me everywhere, and like just anytime at free time, like while trying to obviously do missionary work. Like I was doing missionary work at lunch, I would just pound them in like for that hour, like while I was eating, and you couldn't waste the time when you're learning Cantonese. You shouldn't waste time. You should take any opportunity you can to learn the language. Obviously, you want to do missionary work. You need to learn to balance it out. And with any language, you don't want to focus too much on the language because you need to be doing missionary work, learning the scriptures. But if you can, you want to do both, especially in Cantonese because it's such a benefit. And it was a difficult language. I was surprised I got called Chinese speaking because I served with some very intelligent people, and I spent the majority of my life just playing sports. It's like it made me realize that Heavenly Father trusted me to learn it, and I had a good work ethic, so I worked really hard. And so like it was really fun. When people think of Chinese, because you got Cantonese, Mandarin, like they're like ching chong chong chong. That's like Cantonese. Mandarin's different, and so it's a fun language. I wish everyone could know it, but it's kind of there's about I guess like 80 million. I've heard 200 million people know Cantonese. You got Hong Kong and then southern China, Guangzhou, Guangdong, like they speak Cantonese, but they also speak Mandarin. And the history behind Cantonese and like how Mandarin came about. This is what my trainer told me. He's a native. He said because Cantonese is actually that difficult for my understanding, so they had a voting. So the government made Mandarin, and they're like, "All right, guys, we made this new language. We're gonna have a vote to see which one you want." And it's like the more northern part of China, most of China, like it barely won, but it chose Mandarin. And now, like the southern part of China, were kind of, I guess, prideful. Not prideful. They just didn't want to switch, so they've kept it. But they've obviously developed. They've taken in Mandarin as well at the same time. But they've kept Cantonese. So Cantonese was the original Chinese language, and I believe a lot of the Asian languages, also like Korean, Japanese, also come from Cantonese originally. So Cantonese is like the traditional Chinese language. So that was a cool fact for me to learn, to understand like the history behind that, and that I'm learning Cantonese. Mandarin, Cantonese, now I've learned Cantonese, it is easier for me to pick up on than Mandarin learners to learn Cantonese. I can't understand. Right now I'm taking Chinese. It is kind of difficult. Mandarin is difficult, I'm not going to lie. But Cantonese and Chinese in general are fun. They're really fun. And I would recommend anyone learning it, even though it's kind of difficult.